And you use the word mastery. I'm a big believer in that, in mastering anything, just to learn the process, and then that gives you the confidence that you can master something else.
Right, and it doesn't when we speak of mastery, it doesn't have to be like, "Oh, I've become a black belt or I've
Sure.
achieved this great thing." It really is just mastering a certain behavior. It could be mastering brushing your teeth correctly or, a bedtime routine, or it doesn't
Right.
have to be this huge impossible task.
Right, right. And actually, a question that I have later, I'll go ahead and jump to that, is that the idea. So you mentioned, dopamine, and that children with ADHD may be lacking dopamine, and so the we use the concept of Kaizen, so which means just breaking things down into tiny things, and so that every time that you master that tiny task, you're getting that little spurt of dopamine.
Mhm.
Can you speak about about how small that mastery, and is that a technique you would use to build confidence of
Right,
breaking
it
things down?
all yeah, it absolutely all ties together from this sense of mastery and something like the wonderful list and getting these hits of praise because um, dopamine is what stimulates the area of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, which
Mhm.
is where the higher level thinking takes place. It's where you organize and plan and remember things. It controls your sense of time and inhibition control. And if you don't have enough gas powering that part of your motor, it's not going to work properly, right? It's just so
Mhm.
studies have shown we've done brain scans in children with ADHD, particularly that shows that part of the brain is actually on average 3 years behind in development,
Mhm.
and that it's also not getting as much dopamine to it. So it's just not getting stimulated enough. So when you add something like praise, which increases dopamine because dopamine is the pleasure neurotransmitter, if you will.
Sure.
It's the one that gets created when we're happy or we're experiencing something we love or someone's praising us. So if you get praise or you have that sense of accomplishment and it creates joy, that will create dopamine, which will then allow the prefrontal cortex to achieve even at a higher level.
Right, right. Yeah, and I've read a study where, that aha moment of learning is a dopamine, but is dopamine being excreted. But it doesn't matter the size of the learning. It doesn't matter the size of the win.
Right,
Right.
exactly. So to your earlier point, right, even the smallest
The smallest, right?
sense of achievement of, I did one more problem on the worksheet than I did
Yeah,
yesterday,
yeah.
can give that little dopamine hit.